This is the skeleton coast of Namibia in southwest Africa. What you're about to see is footage from what has been described as possibly the best ever trip in shore fishing history.
The fishing in Namibia is basically divided into three categories. First, the edibles, stuff like steambras, kabeljo, galjoen, blacktail and garrix, which on that it's a bit scarce. Then the small sharks, stuff like gully sharks, bull rays, blue rays, sand sharks, smooth hounds, and that's basically the bait for stuff like cow sharks and of course the copper sharks. The cow sharks usually weight is about 80 kilos, then the copper sharks they go up to 150 kilos, even more than that.
The first job that had to be tackled each morning was catching the bait. The target fish here was a species not unlike our bullhuss, known locally as a gully shark. These fish can reach weights of 70 pounds and more, and are well worth catching in their own right. My best tipped the scales at 48 pounds, but not exactly what we'd travelled thousands of miles to catch.
Okay, we've got the bait, let's go catch some decent fish.
After removing the blood-rich gills and livers to add to the bait box, the carcasses were then staked out along the water's edge, where the body juices were picked up by the waves, drawing the bigger sharks within casting range. This can take maybe half an hour, so it's usually the first job before tackling up. But when the big sharks eventually come, they can show in force, with multiple hookups of 2, 3 and 4 fish not uncommon. On one occasion, we even had 7 on the go at the same time.
There's a shark there out in the water, just gone the first breaker. And another one further down there.
The tackle used for the copper sharks was all provided by Johan, which is perhaps as well, as the rods were one-piece 14-foot Perglass executives, paired to a 4-hole Senator, with one of its strengthening bars removed to get your thumb onto the spool to control it while casting. In addition to this, the reel seats were fitted very low down on the butt, to allow the use of a butt pad when a fish was hooked up, which for me took some getting used to, particularly the casting, when I had to control the reel with my left hand. Takes when they came were a steady pulling down of the rod tip. No messing about here, you were left in absolutely no doubt when a good fish took hold. Fortunately, copper sharks for some reason tend to swim parallel to the beach, which can be a great help. Occasionally, we'd see one of our party way off in the distance, where they'd been led up the beach by a good fish. Others, myself included, would sit down on the sand if necessary with the feet dug in, preferring to slug it out.
Well, today Johan's brought us to a steeper beach, a different beach, to the south of Walvis Bay. We're not using the gully sharks, we're using heads and large cutlets from a fish that Johan calls mackerel. But these things are averaging 6-7 pounds, they're certainly bigger than any mackerel I've seen at home. Again, we're using the twin hook rig, 2 hooks sticking out. It's not exactly a pennel, but the key seems to be to have the hooks sticking proud of the bait. But the bit that I'm having a problem getting used to is using a Senator 4.0 CT to try and cast. Believe me, it's not the easiest task in the world. Luckily it's a very steep beach, the water's very deep close inshore, and the sharks are swimming within 20 or 30 yards of the beach, so all you really need's a lob. We've been fishing for about an hour, we've hooked probably in excess of 10 fish already. I think we've had 5, maybe 6 landed, and as I look now I can see an angler bending into a fish behind. There really are fish everywhere today. Let's see if we can get another. every day. behind me. If you fancy a bite from a really big fish from the shore, Skeleton Coast, Namibia. The copper sharks, also known as bronze whaler sharks. With a fish average in the region of 150 pounds each, 200 pounders a caught, pretty much every day, and the locals don't get excited on anything under 300 pound. It's got to be the ultimate surf fishing beach in the world. Straight them out, Phil.
My best fish came in at £212, taken on my own UK beach fishing gear. Well, it was the last day, and with so many fish already caught, it didn't matter that much whether I got it or I didn't. The final stats for the trip are as follows. 11 anglers fishing 6 days took in excess of £15,000 of fish, with most of the party taking at least 1 day out fishing for other things. 40 sharks on 1 day, with a combined weight of between 6 and 7,000 pounds. 88 copper sharks caught and released, with an average weight of between 150 and 160 pounds. Dave Devine and Mike Dennehy both accounted for more than £1,000 of fish apiece in a single day, with Mike beaching 10 sharks before deciding he'd had enough. And finally, one fish touching £300, which due to its being a collaborative effort, statistically doesn't count. And all of this from the beach.